Buenas tardes a
Good afternoon, everybody. And now we are about to finish our international conference on geography and environment. And now we have the honor to have the participation of our keynote speaker, Eduardo Sojo Garza Aldape. He's an economist as a profession. He made his postgraduate studies in Pennsylvania, in Warsaw, where he developed academic activities, which is part of his profile, and he worked on an investigation research with Lawrence Klein, the Economy Nobel Prize. And it's quite interesting that he talked about the econometric and time series models. This is already part of his clear vocation. His professional life has been developed in two different coordinates, let's say, in order to go in line with the conference. On the one hand, the academia, as I just mentioned. He has been working for some time in the Tecnológico de Monterrey, where he got his degree, and he then was he was faculty of the campus in León. And the other coordinator in his professional life has been in the public sector. In that sense, he has had experiences in a state government in the state of Guanajuato. He was the head of the public policy office of the presidency of the Republic during Fox administration. And finally, in the next administration, he was the Minister of Economy. And as of October 2008, he was appointed the president of the Statistics and Geography National Institute, which is a constitutional agency from the Mexican administration. I want to emphasize that it is an autonomous body, because this has given the institute to innovate. This is basically the topic that is going to be addressed by our keynote speaker. I have been honored to work with him for 21 years without any interruption, and as I've said, he is an economist as profession. I know that his dominant passion is information, and specifically statistic and geographic information. In that sense, well, you have the floor, Mr. Sojo. Thank you very much, Alberto. Good afternoon, and thank you for being with us during this conference. We will get started with the slides, please. First of all, I would like to tell you what I'm not going to talk about. I am not going to talk about everything that INEGI does. I'll try to concentrate mainly on the changes that have taken place in recent years. For those who don't know our headquarters, this is our headquarters building. We are located in the state of Aguascalientes. We will be there for 26 years now. We started our activities in 1987. I was there for that stage. It was my first stage in INEGI, and decentralization was a proof that we can do things outside Mexico City, that we can decentralize the national life. There are two key elements that characterize the institutional architecture of INEGI, which are critical. On the one hand, Alberto was saying that it is an autonomous body. INEGI, as you all know, it's a constitutional body which is autonomous from the administration. We are as IFE or the Bank of Mexico or the Human Rights Commission. But along with this autonomy that we got in a constitutional change in the year 2006, Another thing was created, which I think has the same relevance as the autonomy, which is the national system of geographic and statistical information. Therefore, today, INEGI has two coordinates. One coordinate, which is as the coordinator of the information, and the other as the producer of this information. I am talking first of all on coordinating the statistics and geographic information. This is the way it works. INEGI coordinates and standardizes. We have four subsystems, one related to geographic information and environment information. This subsystem at the same time has technical specialized committees. In this case, we have 7 specialized committees, one related to water, another basic geographic information, emissions, wastes and hazardous substances, climate change, cadastral information, energy, and use of soil, vegetation, and natural resources. All these committees are very important because they gather all the units of the state that generate information on these topics in order to get an agreement on the concepts, classifications, standards that will be followed to generate this information so that everything done in our responsibilities follows the same path. And in order to be able to talk about these paths, we generate these standards and rules. This is the other element that the legislators gave us. They gave us the power to generate rules and norms on how this information has to be prepared. Some of them, for example, are one that you may find quite trivial, which is the geographic addresses. In Mexico, there was no standard on how to write down your address. So in our house, we receive the water and the power bills with a different way of stating the address, because there was no norm or standard on how to write down an address. And this is critical for geospatial information. It is critical to have the correct address to georeference it. In November 2010, we approved the standard. We also have the National Geodesic System in order to locate objects in the space, and we also have the positional accuracy standard and the geographic metadata preparation norm, because we cannot use data if we don't have metadata. And the same happens with statistics and geography. Specifically, if we are talking about open government, we need to explain why, how, who, where of the data to be able to understand it. Another important issue is the generation, collection, and integration of cadastral and registry data. This is important because the cadastre in Mexico is distributed and is autonomous. Sometimes they belong to the states and even to the municipalities, but each of them has a way of putting together the information. So it was not compatible amongst all the cadastre. The only way that we were able to create this national cadastre was through a standard, and this standard has the minimum elements that all the cadastres have to have in order to add them up. Another example is the use of the generic term list of submarine relief. We are not going to invent the wheel. If there is a norm and this is a standard on the submarine relief, we adopted the world standard so that all the units generating geospace information on the sea use the same terms. Now let's talk about INEGI as the producer of information. And once again, I don't want to go over everything that INEGI does, but just the changes that we have had recently. First, the permanent updating of geographic information. This is something that we do day after day. But the difference is that today we're using images that come from high-resolution images from the satellites. We have an antenna along with the Navy, and through that antenna, we get images from the GOI satellite, which is the one that we are using currently to prepare our cartography. This is an image that we received from the satellite, and this is the image of our institute, our headquarters in Aguascalientes. Obviously, the use of these images is enabling us to prepare models that are more precise. And the example is the continuum of Mexican elevations, a new version 3.0 that is now available, which is more accurate than the one we had in the past. The model that we had in the past was 30 by 30, and now you can use this model with a resolution of 15 by 15 meters. Another additional element that we have incorporated, which is critical and it was fundamental for the Institute, was to create a one sole cartographic base. This may sound simple, but it is very important. For me, this is the backbone in order to be able to generate information within the same institution and amongst other institutions. I say within one same institution because we know that inside the institutions, they use a different cartographic base. And this also happened to us, of course. You would see the cartography of the census was different from the population or the economic census or the agropecuarian census. Today, we have one sole cartographic base, which comprises, of course, what we call the state geostatistic areas, the municipalities, and beyond the municipalities that we have today 2,447, and we update it every time there's a new municipality. We have 3,000 locations, and after locations we have blocks. In our cartography and our sole cartography, we have a little more than 2,002,000 blocks. And if we still want to go to further, better resolution, we would say 1.3 million roads in that cartography and 30.3 million numbers of houses. So this cartography is the one that we are using in all the projects of the Institute. And the most important thing for Mexico or as a country is that we use this same cartographic base, all of us who want to do some georeference, something in our country. And in that sense, what we're doing with the tax authority, with the post office and IFE, this is what we're doing. In the past, everyone had its own cartography. And today, we want them all to use the same cartography. It's useless to invest in a different cartography because we are all obliged by law to have this cartography updated. And any change detected by these institutions need to go to our sole cartographic base, which I believe it's critical that all the institutions, all the states, all the municipalities use the same cartographic base. This will save us lots of resources and especially will help us share the information in an accurate manner. We have been able to develop certain products. One of them, just for the sake of the example, is the Statistical Directory of Economic Units. This comes from the economic census. The economic census takes place in Mexico. Traditionally, we go throughout the country and each block we go around with digital devices, and this helps us to georeference them. We're showing this to our society. It is obviously available in our website, but I want to show you a video that enables us to show what we can get out of this tool. Let's look for drugstores. Drugstores are classified. And in the case of drugstores or convenience, with convenience store or without convenience store, and we look for them. Let's look for the size of the establishment, 5, 6, 7, 10, 30 people. This is what we want to see. And we're going to see an example. In this case, we are going to León, Guanajuato, and we'll go to drugstores with a convenience store, without convenience store, and León, Guanajuato. They say 580 with convenience and without convenience store. It's good. It's a spreadsheet. But that's not the important thing. When we see query, we will see them one by one. And we can locate them in the territory and look for their file. For example, Farmacia La Moderna, 6 to 10 people, the street Álvaro Obregón, the number, the area, León, Guanajuato, the telephone number, and the email if we get it, or website. And the system is the streets view. We can see if this is the drugstore we're looking for. And of course, we can find drugstores or any economic unit, movie, grocery stores, a private office of a dentist, or whatever. You can look, for example, look for suppliers, clients, to locate bank branches, to invest, things of the sort. From the population census, we have something similar, but also based on the sole cartographic base. Let's look for a geographic area, for example. In this example, we are going to look for Durango. We'll go to the capital city of the state of Durango. And we go to the Explorer. Victoria de Durango is the name of the city. And we'll go down to the territory of the city. And you can see how the blocks start appearing there. Then we can see the streets. That's something normal in the systems. But now we see houses, private houses, houses with power, houses that are inhabited. So you can see block by block. In this block, there are 22 private houses, 12 with floor, average occupancy 3.7. And if we want to see more indicators, we can see how many children below 4 years old in each block, or more than 60 years old, or on the right, religion, marital status, education, all this information that we collect from the census, you can put it together in each 2.2 million blocks of the country. So imagine what this means for natural resources, marketing, research, etc. And this is all open to the public. Another interesting area that I believe it's important for the Institute is to give environment the importance it has. In the past, of course, we did something. On the side of statistics, we have a satellite account on sustainable growth. We do have estimates in our country every year talking about the green GDP, and in geography, we did lots of things related to natural resources, but we did not generate basic statistics information on the environment. Today we have changed. And every 2 years, we go all over the country, all the municipalities, and we apply a survey on potable water and sanitation, and we can reference it geographically. Today we have altered georeference of water service providers, wastewater treatment plants, water captation basins, ways to discharge wastewater. So everything is georeferenced. And in that census, we also apply a questionnaire related to urban solid wastes. And here you can see which are the waste transfer stations, treatment of these wastes throughout the country. We also want to make available to our users statistical information, not only georeferencing, but doing this environmental query where we have all the information that we have in the questionnaire georeferenced, and it includes, as you see on the right, a picture showing exactly the site we are looking for. What we do in the municipalities is also done at households. We have a module talking about what do we do at home to take care of water, to dispose of our wastes, to use our power. For example, what if we separate waste, and we see that 54% separate wastes and almost 46% do not separate waste. So environment is also a key issue. We're trying also to combine statistics and geography. Talking about statistics, we have a system called cubes, and the cubes enable us to get the lists or the tables you want of the surveys, the census, etc. We try to import that into the geospace information, and we have been able to incorporate the studies of the use of the land into these systems, so that as we do it with statistics, you can know not only the plan and the charter, but also the statistics derived from that charter. We are going to incorporate all of them. Today we have the use of land and vegetation, but you will be able to choose the table you require. Another important change that we have had is to contribute to the ordering of the land, specifically talking about cadastre. Yesterday, we had a dinner with our Latin American and Spanish colleagues, and we realized that each institution is different, but there are multiple institutions combining geography and cadastre in the same institution, and there should be a reason for that. Of course, geospatial can have an important contribution into the cadastre, and we have here the representative of the federal government that addresses these issues. What have we done? Well, first we wanted to modernize the cadastre with a program with Banobras. This is very generous with the municipalities, because what we do is to motivate the municipalities to move to the modernization. INEGI makes a diagnosis, and then we have an executive project. There's a tender in the municipality, and INEGI supervises the tender. And if the private sector met the requirements, the INEGI endorses, and they receive 50% of lost funds. So this shows that this is quite profitable. Of every peso invested, 10 pesos well recovered without increasing any rates. Out of every peso invested, 10.4 pesos well recovered. And since we were working on that, we wanted to get one step further. We wanted to create the national registry and cadastral system in order to locate all the cadastre and registry offices. Right now, we have clearly documented and georeferenced 14.2 million private plots of land and 8.8 million public land. So what is our aspiration? What's our dream? What's the star we are striving for? Having the 40 million plots of land of the country incorporated into the sole cartographic, going not to the block but to the plot level. This, of course, means that we are going to have a more detailed geographic information. Public information system, as we have talked about around this conference, it's critical, and of course, each of us may think differently in each of our countries. For us, we believe that our way or our mandate and our business was not selling information, that our business was having information ready to be used. Mexicans have already paid for this information, and now the important thing is that it is usable. Because if it is usable, we are going to make better decisions, and those decisions will contribute to the economic and social development of our country. And there are two elements I would like to highlight here. One, Mexico's digital map, which is a tool developed in open software, which is available for everybody for query and analysis of geographical information. And it's a very flexible platform that adapts to the user, and it may adapt to any country around the world because it's on open software. It's implemented based on international standards. It doesn't require any special software licenses, and it is based on open code modules, as I have mentioned. And it's not only in our website. You can download it and use it with all the information that I am going to show. This is all the information we have available. I'll rush over it because it's a lot of information. I'm not going to mention everyone, but it has 158 layers of vectorial information on the same cartographic basis, more than 66 million objects. Of course, we have the passive national geodesic, the hydraulic information, the channels, the dams, all geographic names that you know it's critical in geospatial.
We have a continuous elevation model that I already mentioned, 3.0. We have slope information, hydrographic information, water, currents, of course, highways, airports, and similar orthophotos, what we call social property that I mentioned already. We also have all the hydrological information, underground water sources, of course. We have the reefs, snow, weathers. We have protected areas. We have mangrove information and, of course, physiography, geology, soil information. We also have all the sludge and moist areas, the different series I mentioned, satellite imagery. On the same platform, we also have geostatistic keys for entities and regional villages and so forth. We also have roads. We have rural areas and urban areas. Everything that I just mentioned, among other things, is there available to us all. In one sole platform, you can combine all the information available from the Institute. But we have also considered that users perhaps don't need these platforms. What they need is the information. What they need are the letters issued by the Institute. So now, or the cards, and so now you can have all the information that we have available. You just have to select whatever the number of any area nationwide, and you can, for free, download that information. All this information is pretty much ready, and by December, we will have all cartography available for free downloading. But not only that, we are in the production phase right now. This is that, for example, we finish one of the cards and then we upload it, and then you can download it in a PDF, because then You can break it up, but also you can download using other codes in order to use that information in different systems. The innovation for next year will have to do with a calendar, and you will know exactly when is it that we commit, on which specific date we are committing to upload information, so that you can download that information regardless the area in Mexico where you are, and regardless the country where you are. We think that this has yielded good results. I am going to share some information with you, some stats. The first, it has to do with the printed cartography and online cartography. We have the same term. This is the last year at the information or data centers. We delivered 104,000, and everything was downloaded, accounting for 536,000. So everything has to be uploaded so that you have that available. But this really caught my attention. This is the use in the past of geographic information. It can be delivered or downloaded. Delivered 3,610 per month, and that has multiplied exponentially. Now we are talking about an average of 49,000 downloads or deliveries. What does this mean? This means that information is being actually used. This means that we are honoring our mandate. And so perhaps in the past, due to the cost that for many small companies or for many people had the purchasing of the information, now they can download the information, make decisions, and that is all for free. Likewise, as I was talking about the free software, we also have a desktop version, and you can download it. 66,727 have already been downloaded, and we want to create a consortium. So all the users of digital maps in Mexico should be a member. And we have all of them registered because we want to hear their opinion, but at the same time, our purpose next year is to know the users more, and to have you go into the site and say, well, Ramon, what you are usually downloading, this is what is new, and so we can actually meet the specific needs of our users. Now, what is ahead of us? Something that is very, very important and has to do with the digitalization of our historic files. As you know, the Institute has had a lot of pictures. We had over 4,000 sets of tapes, and so all these rolls of tape were in danger, and so that would lead to the loss of all our history. So what we did was to start digitalizing. We have 5 teams and 5 sets of equipment, and we are starting to digitalize, starting from the oldest and moving forward from there, and then we will make that information available, and that will be ready in these coming months, and perhaps in just a few weeks. We have a new version of the MDM, and the date was by November. In order to release it, we will have a new interface. We have seen best practices, and we have developed all this information. And the most interesting thing is that besides all the information that I already mentioned, you will be able to download information from some other systems and take it to the platform, so that you will be able to use it not only with information from INEGI, but information from different sources. Today, we are now releasing the fact that we now have a charter for the use of soil and vegetation. That is release number 5, and that was prepared in record times. This means that we are really speeding up, and in order to have all this information, of course, we will be able to have dynamic models. And this is going to be along the Grijalva-Usumacinta area, and now you can start following this information up, and it took us 3 years to get this charter ready, around 2.5 in this charter for the use of land and vegetation. And we have another project that is very, very interesting with Conavia in order to update this information preliminarily every single year based on satellite imagery, and in order to have all these preliminary work ready to do this. What is ahead of us? Of course, we will have a number of digital and elevation models that will allow us to have all the information available. This is a 5x5 of Cerro de la Silla elevation digital model. We are starting with the metropolitan areas, and this was recently released. That has to do with Popocatépetl, with 3x3 or 3x3 quality, and of course we have video, and this is used for evacuation for civil protection purposes, and this was made available for community as a whole in order to be more familiar with elevation digital models. This is an active volcano, and you know that it goes up and down in terms of activity, so we have to keep an eye all the time for civil protection purposes in order to prevent accidents and in order to prevent affectations due to accidents. And so this is the digital model of the Popocatépetl volcano. There you can see this on our website, and you will be able to see more models in order to make decisions and better informed decisions in Mexico. What is ahead of us again? But we want society to join forces with us. We want society to participate. And in these coming weeks, we will release this new product. It is called the NUE Interactive. It is a statistic directory for economic units. You remember when we saw the pharmacy? Okay, we only saw that it was a pharmacy with such and such characteristics, and we saw the size and the location. But this pharmacy perhaps would like to upload more information. Perhaps it would like to upload specials and special sales and things like that. Or perhaps a restaurant that is in the DENUE would like to upload a picture of the premises or maybe the menu, so that when someone goes to the DENUE, then that information is available. We cannot do that because that is confidential, personal information. However, information can be uploaded by the companies, and so we are now talking to the chambers so that they can upload information from companies, and so that this will certainly be useful in order to promote products and in order to use this geospatial information in a better way. Another way in which society can participate is through what we call participative cartography. Everybody, as Vanessa was saying, everything happens in a certain space within the territory, and we know that there are people in that space, and people are recording things. For example, if there is a road that does not have a name, of course we can name it, and if there is a change in a new borough, of course we want to know about that. And so we would like to have community involved, and we will make available for them in these coming months. Now it is working with our territorial structure, and we are already receiving reports of what they are observing in the field. However, we want to see this not only by those who work at the institute, but we want to gather this information from everybody. So we would like to join forces in order to have the best possible cartography, and this will happen during the first quarter next year. And so thank you very much. This is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sojo. And well, we have some time for for questions. I don't know if anybody would like to ask or ask something or contribute with something. Please, your name? Good afternoon. I am Juan Martín Fuentes Mancilla. I am Director of Navigation Services in Mexico. Early this year, we approached the INEGI in order to produce information on artificial obstacles called obstacle database. This is a requirement asked by civil navigation authorities in order to have new satellite-based navigation services. And so my question is, have you considered the production of this type of information in order to have these type of developments? And well, your question is very, very important because it ratifies the relevance of the use of this type of information and also ratifies the need to use customized chartering. And we have talked to the Director General of Geography and Environment, and perhaps you can tell us how we are doing, Carlos. Yes, it is something that is, of course, very important to revisit because we need to subscribe an agreement in this regard. As you very well know, airports, depending upon the region of the country, whether it is a concession or not, then companies actually who are holding this concession have approached the Institute and we are now starting to work on the preparation of these charters. Of course, there are some of them already available. However, of course, after the session, we could go into more detail with you. Yes, we are very much interested in generating this type of information. Good morning. I am Veronica Palma, and I come from the National Institute of Anthropology and History. And it seems that, well, all of these things that are going on are amazing, of course, but we would very much like to participate in these efforts in the area that we work, that is cultural patrimony. And we would very much like to have a first approach. We already had held some meetings with the Cultural Information Committee, and there is a task force already prepared in this area. However, we would like to implement this type of visualizators like the digital map, considering the information of cultural patrimony. So in what way can we have this liaison with you in order to develop an application? We have some services published. However, this platform and free software and everything that goes with it would make it a lot easier for us. So I don't know, perhaps technological transfer or you name it, we would be more than happy to develop something like that. Well, the concern that you are sharing with us right now was already shared before in similar way with the Ministry of Tourism, and they had to integrate, as mandated by law, integrate a tourist atlas, and they were thinking on how to deal with that, and we decided to combine the information that the Ministry of Tourism has and what we actually have, and we already had some geo-reference on restaurants, hotels, pharmacies, and hospitals, among other things. In this new version, it includes additional things. We saw like photographs, for example, but the routing, how to get from one point to another. And Carlos can give you a business card, and of course we can start working. I am Erika Garcia from the Geophysics Institute at the UNAM. Can there be some collaboration agreements for GOI image obtention? With respect to the downloading, programming of satellite images of EBISMAR, of course, there is a protocol, and it is fairly simple. You have to register for such purpose, and I can give you information when we close the session so that via email we can be in touch, and if so is the case, if there is anybody else who is interested, we can provide you more information. But this is actually part of the public service of information, and the idea is that you can take a look at them in our portal. That is the first instance, and the second, download it. Yes, we are very careful when we have this type of agreements to make these images available for other people, already rectified, of course. Of course, there are certain restrictions. I understand that they cannot be uploaded or have benefits derived from that. However, but for academic purposes, we would be more than happy. Good afternoon. I am José Cuauhtémoc Chitu. I come from the Technological Institute of Villahermosa. And I have a question. With all the information that we are seeing, state-of-the-art technology, I would like to know, is there data with respect to highways and roads? Because the UN is now undertaking this traffic safety program, and sometimes we don't have enough information. When you go from one destination to another, and sometimes we find that the roads are in very bad shape. And there is now this program nationwide. So I would like to know if there is a way to have that information. What you are saying is very, very important. Of course, we not only have roads, but we have rural roads and even smaller roads. But what used to be the problem before? Well, the problem was that there were several versions of these same information, and now the Ministry of Transportation and Communications and Transportation we will have only one version for the Mexican territory, and there is an additional initiative from the Ministry of Communication and Transport to reorder all the names of the highways and roads so that it makes sense, because sometimes the numbering doesn't make any sense, and this is an initiative from the SCT. And once we have the same database, we can georeference accidents or repairs, and we can inform through apps, for example. And that is a joint effort between the SCP and the INEGI, and we hope to have it ready soon. I am Miguel Ángel Alatorre from the Research Institute at UNAM. I want to know if you have bathymetry considered. I don't know if this is going to be ready. Are you going to be publishing this type of information? There are some areas that can be improved in this aspect. Are you planning on having this information? Well, there we work hand in hand with the Ministry of the Navy, and because they are actually in charge of this type of work, and they are part of one of the committees that is the specialized committee for basic geographic information. And of course there we can contribute with regulations, as we mentioned before, and definitions and denomination of the undersea slope and layout. If you leave us your business card, of course, we would love to be in touch with you. I am Mauricio Robles. I work at Thales. We are a company for civil and military security. Right now, we are working in a security project in Mexico City, and we have a commercial cartography, and we are exploring the possibility to have an exchange with the cartography from INEGI. However, we have very specific requirements, very detailed information, because it has to do to fight crime. And the level of detail is very meticulous. It includes roads and the way and all the different streets. And we spoke to INEGI yesterday, and we were not able to tell us whether they have it or not. However, we we were told that we had to gather information from different entities, and for me this is very, very interesting, but this is not what I heard yesterday, so this is my concern. For example, if you want to know about roads, if you want to know about demonstrations and things like that, of course that information is at a local level. However, if the work is being conducted for the government of the federal district, we would very happily, together with the government of the federal district, to contribute with information. But of course, the information that you require is generated at local level. And what we could contribute with in terms of regulation is in terms of regulation, so that that is issued based on the standard that has to do with addresses, and it can be geo-referenced real time. Maybe one for Boris and Fraser. I was thinking that in order to foster involvement not only of society but also from instances or such as municipalities and so forth, of course it would be very interesting to have training, because we know that information is there. However, some municipal governments don't have the capacity or the capability to use the information. Thank you, Boris. Eduardo, fue una presentación muy, muy interesante. Tengo una pregunta administrativa para ti. La integración es un reto, por supuesto, desde cualquier punto de vista, político, técnico, etcétera. En Canadá tenemos 21 agencias gubernamentales que están tratando de integrar la información. Desde el punto de vista técnico, podríamos decir que es fácil con las normas de interoperabilidad. Sin embargo, en la realidad no lo es tan fácil. No es tan fácil. Lo que hemos hecho es establecer un comité a nivel administrativo con estas 21 dependencias para poder discutir los aspectos administrativos y legales y los retos que tenemos. Sé que el INEGI está coordinando esta integración, pero ¿cómo lo están haciendo? ¿Qué procedimientos están utilizando para que la gente se involucre? ¿Se reúnen ustedes periódicamente o cómo están lidiando con este gran reto para poder hacer esta visión una realidad? Y sé que es una pregunta sencilla, no tiene mayor problema responderla. Well, thank you, Fraser. They are two closely related. Of course, that is a great challenge, a huge challenge, and the ultimate objective of the INEGI, of course. And what we are thinking right now is that as of 2008, by law, we were given the necessary tools in order to conduct the coordination that used to depend upon goodwill. Now it is the law that sets forth the elements for coordination. I was talking about specialized technical committees that we have with the different instances of the federal government. I did not mention, but we also have technical specialized committees at the different states. In this regard, I think that we have an advantage as compared to Canada, and that is that there are not many states that have all the information available, and the information they will be using is ours. I mentioned a while mentioned a while ago that we still need to train. We need to have good, well-trained people to work with and convince state and municipal authorities that investing in information is profitable. Sometimes they don't invest. Sometimes we don't have constant collaboration with municipalities and with states, but I think that little by little we will talk them into convincing, into having all these counterparts in the ministries and in the states in order to use this information. I would wrap up by saying that, of course, it is not enough if we do, regardless what we do, it is no good if this is not used. If the companies, if the states, if the ministry, if the community do not use it. And the idea is to be closer to those of you who use geospatial information and community as a whole. Thank you very much.